We're in a position where we're heading into a period of, the Chinese New Year. So, leading up into the Chinese New Year, it is a fairly busy period where, customers are trying to get their cargo, in and out of the country as quickly as possible. Now, we're finding it at the moment that it's fairly busy and we're getting cargo coming in and out with a few delays. Obviously we've had terminal strikes and there's some issues with wars overseas. So, there has been some challenging periods in the last couple of months, but, heading into that Chinese New Year period, it cranks up a bit and we start seeing, a lot more volume and a lot more communication from our customers. We've spoken about, the issues over in the war zones and so on, that have caused some issues through the oceans and so on. So the Red Sea is a major issue and there's contingencies in place from the shipping lines to go around that region. But that's delaying vessels, up to 6 to 8 weeks, in some cases even 12 weeks. So, we have to work around that. We have to work with our customers. There's options of moving some urgent stuff for air freight. But that's probably something that we've already planned, and a lot of customers understand that throughout the industry. It's not just an ISS issue. With the terminals or the DP World issues that we've had over the last 2 or 3 months, that's been resolved. It's going to take probably another 4 to 6 weeks for that to fully settle down and get back to normal, because there's, I think that they said something like, 20 or 30,000 containers that need to be moved and repositioned and so on. So I think that the next couple of months will be, I wouldn't say challenging, but, there will be some restrictions in regards to, movement in and out of the country, but it should all settle down by the time, April, May comes around. The air freight market is picking up. We have found that majority of the airlines are back to their normal capacities at the moment. So previously we had issues trying to get space on airlines to move larger products or larger volumes. At the moment, it's not a major issue. Pricing has dropped to a level that is, pre-pandemic. So air freight is fairly steady. It's much more viable to move air freight at the moment, based on the pricing structures. And we've noticed that a couple of the consolidators that we use are starting to, again, consolidate cargo from, Europe and Asia and the UK and the US. So it's allowed us to be able to offer a service that offers our customers a good price point for a good service on predominantly a weekend offering. Well, the sea freight market currently is, tracking pretty well. I think that, as I said earlier, with the issues that we've had, with the Red Sea and also, with the terminal strikes, the pricing has increased a little bit. The sea freight component side of it, both in and outbound, is fairly steady. There's not a major issue in regards to, price increases or anything like that. There may be some additional charges because of the movements through that Red Sea region where, if vessels need to go on a different route to Australia, there might be additional charges, but that's something that we're waiting for clarification and costings, and in turn customers will receive that, and we pretty much bill that at cost. So nothing has changed from, last year in regards to that side of it. I think it's fairly steady at the moment. The Red Sea crisis, I guess from someone that does shipping, I know bits and pieces of it. I don't know the whole background of it, but there's some issues with some people that are causing some trouble with vessels in that region where, they're jumping on board vessels and causing trouble. It's put a lot of shipping lines in a position where they're concerned that there may be injuries and diversions of vessels. And also at the moment, there's some stuff happening with retaliation and so on. So we have found that a lot of shipping lines are in a position where they don't want to put their vessels in the way of harm. They're finding alternative arrangements to move the vessels through other channels. So that's probably the smart way to go, and it will extend some of the transit times and so on. But, at the end of the day, we all need to be aware of it, understand it, and make sure that everyone's safe and the cargo gets to its destination, in a a timelier manner. I guess the export market is probably very challenging, as a lot of us probably know and have seen that there's been some cargo that was rejected because it can't go through certain countries, and the routings have to be moved around, which has added delays, particularly with our products being livestock and raw materials and things like that. So exports have had some challenges, and they're probably going to continue to have challenges until the situation is rectified. But I still believe it's very strong. It's a market that's always been very strong for our country. Natural resources is a big part of our daily movements or our weekly movements to the rest of the world. So I think from a volume perspective, it hasn't really been affected too much, but from the other side, there has been some issues with transit times and so on, which has affected some part of our export movements. In my opinion, the import market hasn't really been affected too much. The last 3 or 4 weeks have shown that there's going to be some major delays with transit, but the volumes are still tracking as per normal. Our economy's tracking pretty well. I guess we'll probably have a better understanding of where it all falls in, say, April and May, when we really see the extent of the issues in the Red Sea and the transit times. From a positive side of it, the terminal, the DP World issue has been resolved, which is going to come back to normal. We're not seeing a lot of delays with customs or quarantine and so on. So in my opinion, the import side is tracking very well. Freight rates have not really moved too much. There has been some increases in the import side. The export side's fairly steady. I don't see any major increases coming up, because traditionally leading into the end of financial year, pricing is pretty steady, volumes are pretty steady. There's no influx of any major movements, which we see during the peak season leading up into Christmas and the New Year period. So yeah, pricing is pretty stable at the moment. It's probably a good time to import or export. I'd encourage people that are doing any imports or export, that period between January and June is probably the most cost-effective time to move your cargo in and out of Australia. In regards to any changes, there hasn't been any major changes. I mean, we've discussed the issues that we have encountered over the last couple of months, and there hasn't really been any major issues that have come up where we need to really pay attention to it. I guess from a business perspective, we'd like to have more activity in sales and marketing, but at the moment I think the priority is to make sure that all our customers are happy and they're getting their cargo from point A to point B in a timely manner at a price point that they're happy at. So over customer service your customers and make sure that they're all happy at the moment. That's a priority when the market's stable. The advice that I would give to anyone that wants to import or export at the moment is to make sure that you're hitting your deadlines or your timelines. Any delay in today's market is not a week or two. It can be, we're finding out of Asia that there's 3 or 4 week delays because vessels are running late from Europe. If you're moving freight from Europe to Australia, there's 6 to 8, 12 week delays. Everything is a priority that arrives earlier than later. And I would just reiterate to everyone that, you need to maybe put a buffer in there or advise your customer that there may be some substantial delays in our traditional transit times to anywhere in the world at the moment. In previous years, being a small company, and we had a smaller base of employees, we didn't have any anniversaries or any major announcements besides the merger of our operation in Melbourne with FLA. But now that the business is almost 15 years old, which is a big milestone for us. I mean, being operational for 15 years is something that, I envisaged. I'm very proud of the fact that, we've got a Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane operation. We've got 20 odd staff. We've got a lot of customers that are very satisfied and happy with our service. So that is a positive. On the other side as well, got a gentleman called Warren Shee, who's our business development manager, who just celebrated his 10-year anniversary. which is a big bonus for us. It indicates that we're doing something right, where staff want to be with us long term. David Ilic, who is also my youngest son, he's celebrating his 10-year anniversary in August this year. He came to us straight out of school and has grown into a very competent young manager, and he's now been given the title of New South Wales Operations Manager. There's a lot of positives when you can, announce that you've got, a lot of staff that are with you for a long time. It really shows and I guess indicates that, we're doing something right, and not just our customers that are happy, it seems our staff are very happy and they want to be with us for a long period of time. So yeah, I'm very proud of that part of it.